Today is Mandela International Day. This is a day that had been marked or set aside since 2009 by the United Nations to celebrate this historic man. And then whenever anybody hears the story of Mandela, it talks about perseverance, it talks about believing in a cause, it talks about truths, it talks about justice. And of course, 67 years in jail, I think. We'll find out all that during the course of the program. 67 years believing in the cause. And earlier on we said today you must do 67 minutes of something good to commemorate this day. However, telling us more about the Nelson Mandela Day is our guest in the studio is Zigwe Tagwe. She's a Mandela Washington Fellow. Zigwe, many thanks for being with us in the studio.
Thank you for having me. It's
Good.
a pleasure.
So I promise I'm going to do something, 67 minutes of, when I read that yesterday, I'm like, oh wow, this is very interesting. I didn't even know about that. So what's that all about? Let's start from there, then we'll talk about the team and what it means, and especially for the fact that Mandela is an African.
Oh, yes.
That's like awesome, because we really don't have so many role models as Africans, you know, people that believe in a cause, that have changed the democracy of several countries just by his belief. But let's start with the 67 minutes. What does that mean? You must do 67 minutes of what?
67 minutes of intentional community service.
Yes.
Or social activism or good works. It's just a portrayal of the person of Nelson Mandela. He was one who stood for social justice, one who believed in access to equal opportunities, respect for one another, and also freedom, the promotion of freedom for everyone. He also believed in collective action towards transformational impact. And the only way that can happen is if we take the intentional efforts to do those things for ourselves and for our community. We may see 67 minutes as a very long
just
time.
Like, I actually calculated it, 1 hour, 7 minutes.
Yes.
I actually broke it down, because when I said 67, I was like, 67, that's too much.
Exactly.
Like, no, it's just 1 hour.
And if you're thinking of, oh, what can I do? How many things can I do? It could just be in your place of work, wherever you are at the moment. What are you doing? Rather than keeping an angry face, could you just smile at someone? Rather than using words that would break people or destroy them, could you extend some form of empathy? Could you extend some form of help to people around you? Are you on the roadside? Do you see people who need to cross over and are not able to? Are you seeing some persons being treated in ways that do not seem humane? Could you extend your voice? Could you project your voice for those ones? Are there things that you feel have not been going well over the period? This is an opportunity to actually join your voice and speak towards that cause that you believe in. It's also one way to start up something. I think most times we need that push or that reminder that, look, there's so much more you can offer. There's so much more you can do. And this is a very timely reminder for us. I know that across Nigeria, across Africa, a lot is going on. And there's so much we can do. We can still relate to the experience of Nelson Mandela. He was in a physical prison. What kind of prison are you in right now? It could be economic, it could be financial, it could be social, it could be anything, emotional, psychological, whatever form of prison that you think you or someone else is in, you can help set them free by the values you believe in, value of resilience, value of social justice, value of commitment to service, value of empathy, forgiveness, collective action, and actually projecting people's
I actually have
voices.
goosebumps just thinking of all these good values and all those things that you're saying, which is very, very commendable. Let's narrow it down to Nigeria. There's a lot of, I think, fortunately, during the history of Nigeria as a country, this is the one time that we have so much distrust for ourselves. You see a lot of religious distrust, a lot of ethnic distrust. The divide is widening. Things that people never thought about 10 years ago. Now everybody was, okay, where is Ifunanya from? Where is Zigwai from? You know, those are the parameters that whether I want to do business with you, whether I want to be friends with you. How can we relate and imbibe this essence that Mandela Day, even though it's just once in a year event and it's been celebrated for the past 14 years, but how can we make it a way of life? How can we, because I love the part where you said, whatever prison that you're in, you have to free yourself. And I see Nigerians, quite a lot of us, in cultural prisons, in ethnic prisons, in religious prisons, yes? Even with the new administration just coming in, we still see that distrust of ourselves. So how can we imbibe that in Nigeria, taking into cognizance all that is going on? It's an ooh thing, right? Yes.
Okay, so I think the first thing is doing away with bias. Bias is one thing that has held us back over a long period of time. I think that if we are intentional about rallying around the causes that affects us, because the truth is, the religious differences, the ethnic differences, the cultural differences, status, political status, social status, whatever it is we want to divide ourselves along, they're not as strong as the social causes or social challenges that unite us.
Good point.
We're looking at poverty, we're looking at
Good
unemployment, we're looking at insecurity, we're looking at a lot of health challenges, we're looking at natural disasters, climate change. Are those not more important than these divides that we're talking about? We need to get to the point where we understand that no matter the divides we're focusing on, or the biases, these issues still stay. And I think over the years, it is the deepening of these challenges that we have that has caused the widening of the gaps along these divides. And because people who are not servant leaders, people who would want to always leverage the weakness of any human or society, have understood these secrets, they use it,
they weaponize
as
it,
a weapon,
yes,
to get what they want, not for our benefits. So it's not that, yes, we all have differences, but we need to get to the point where we understand that Nigeria is not the only country that has this uniqueness of ethnic division, religious, yes, and a host of, there are so many countries with that. Why is it different with us? First thing is, we have a lot of social challenges that we need to address. The only reason why I would see someone who is not sharing the same religious values or beliefs as me as an enemy, or looking at you with suspicion when you're taking action, is because I'm trying to get something that maybe you're also trying to get. But imagine if we had equal opportunities. Imagine if everybody had access to social welfare. We have access to good healthcare, access to a decent job, not just being employed, but a decent job, not underemployed. Having access to good roads, a working society, a society that is very intentional about innovation and development, functional society. We wouldn't have all of these issues that are springing up, and nobody would be able to use this bias as a weapon. We need to go to the extent of believing in ourselves. It's about collective action. One man can't do it alone. And the only way that you can have collective action is if I'm able to trust you.
Yes,
I must not trust you 100%, but let me trust you to deliver.
Level of trust, yes.
Let me trust you to work with me so that we can get things done. And I believe that once you give someone a chance, even if it's 30 minutes, believe me that your perspective about that person will change when you get to see the person at work. The bias of, oh, I've been told, because most times, again, we build these biases on what you've been told. Yes. Oh, I heard. Oh, they said. This is how they are. But then we do not allow ourselves to experience people for ourselves, experience these diverse cultures for ourselves. We need to go beyond hearsay. Experience one another. Be open to building trust over time. Be open to collective action towards the causes that truly matter. And if we're able to do that, then we would already weaken those who are not having the communal interests that we pursue.
The theme this year, climate, food, and solidarity, and then I'm really particular about it because climate and food are issues that we need to. You've summarily, talked about solidarity, having common causes as opposed to things that divide us. Food security is good. It has reached a Hague matter. You understand?
Yes.
Food security in Nigeria is a problem. The climate too. We're not doing as much as we should. We're still seeing people throwing plastic, blocking drainages. The flood is here. We're seeing some of those man-made blockages causing and wreaking havoc. We're still in a government where we're not taking proactive measures to have preventive, opportunities as opposed corrective. No, we want it to happen, then we'll tackle it. Of course, the most recent one was the flooding at Trademore Estate at Lubi. We saw last year how Kogi was cut off from Abuja and several other states. Foodstuff couldn't get here, transportation, fuel couldn't get here, and now feeding is like a prayer. You have to pray to eat. You're not praying when you eat, because that's what we grew up with. When you see the meal, then you thank God. When you're seated, now you must pray that the food will even come before you even say the grace. How can we, in the few minutes we have left, tackle this climate issue in Nigeria and the food insecurity that we have, relating it to the celebration of Mandela's struggle for good governance, because if that's what it is. If we have the kind of governance we deserve, no, I don't say deserve, because they say people get the government they deserve, so I don't want to use that word. If we get the kind of government that Nigerians deserve, because we deserve the best. It's a great nation. Why can we tackle this?
I think it still boils down to intentionality, understanding that our lifestyle as a whole influences what the earth gives back to you. The earth is living. That's one thing we have to know. And it gives you what you give it. We have, for lack of a better word, a poor lifestyle when it comes to environment.
Yes.
As Nigerians.
I agree with you.
You're walking on the street, and even within your own community, someone steps out of their house, there's a bin, but they decide to throw the waste by the side.
Floor. Yes. Or
they see the waste coming out of the bin and they can't pack it together and put it in one place. You are in a community, there is no incinerator, functional incinerator. We know that sometimes maybe our waste management bodies are overwhelmed with work, but then we can help with building community incinerators. If your bin is overflowing, have an incinerator where these things are piled up together. Learn to dispose your waste according to the different types of waste that we have.
Oh no, that's too much drama. We're putting plastic, we're putting bottles.
Well,
you think we'll get there?
We have to be, yes. There is nothing, it may seem impossible until it's done. That's a quote from Mandela, actually. So there is nothing that's impossible.
Until it's done.
Yes, it may seem impossible until it's done. Except we decide to take up the action ourselves. We need to be intentional. I believe that if you want something so bad, we take the effort and we do it. So why is this not something that we want to do for ourselves? Climate-wise, we need to learn how to take care of our environment, whether it's industrial pollution. Now I'm talking about riverine areas where we have a lot of...
We're still dealing with that drama in
oil
rivers
leakages
and all those places. Yes.
And it's a lot. Aquatic nature is being lost.
Yes.
We can't even, those places depend on those waters for cooking, for living, for drinking.
For everyday life.
So it affects health. Survival, when all of those things are blocked, they don't even have access to water for a good health. When we're talking about, you talked about erosion, you block all the waterways. And And then water always finds a way.
It flows. It must find its
If
level.
it gets where it's supposed to go, there's no way. It finds a way. And that way could be your home. It could be your children's school. It could be anywhere. And then we begin to have loss of lives, loss of properties. We're talking about industries and pollution, air pollution. How do we need to be able to be intentional about mitigating this? Leverage innovations, leverage renewed energy, leverage technological development so that we reduce air pollution, we reduce carbon pollution, we increase environmental production. There needs to be building of infrastructures that help to support these things also. We can't keep saying, there's so much people can do, but the system has to also work. Do we have the infrastructure that supports all of this? We need to also, when we're talking about food security, what is our production industry like? We have a lot of farmers that are doing so much year in, year out. They produce a lot of food stuff. There is no processing industry. Our roads are bad. Storage is bad. Power is bad. So there's food, but I can't store it because there's no electricity. There's food, the road is bad. So if I'm supposed to transport from Abuja to, let's say, Sokoto, or from Sokoto to Niger State, it takes longer.
Yes.
And before it gets there, the produce are spoiled. You lose. The people do not get the food. You do not earn your income. What's our processing industry like? Do we have industries that could help? From tomato, you could get a lot of other things. From Gary, you could get so much more. But because we do not have those industries that can produce or extract in so many ways, we're only stuck with moving from cassava to Gary. And that's it. We lose out on every other thing that we
can
could
come
do.
in between.
Yes. That's how we can improve food insecurity. Provide the industries. Make sure that we have good roads, sustainable roads, not the one-hit wonder roads that every month we're blocking and stopping people's lifestyles or livelihoods to renovate or repair. We need to ensure that there's constant power supply. We need to ensure that we tie innovation and technology to agriculture in terms of marketing, buy into the African Free Trade Agreement, where we're able to export these things. Let's start trading between African countries. We have so much to exchange.
Absolutely.
That way we build, we build ourselves. We build ourselves economically, and we also preserve our food industry. And people get to live a good life also because they have that stable income. So these are ways that we could work collectively to ensure food, climate, food security, and solidarity.
And solidarity. Last question, because we have a few minutes, 2 minutes before we go. Why is it called 4664 day also? I don't know.
Yeah, that was the prison number for Mandela.
That was his prison, so 4664 day.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about it in 1 minute.
Okay.
Good.
So while Mandela was in prison, that was his cell number.
Okay.
And then rather than just referring to him as the inmate or this,
so that
people
was his
decided
name.
to start referring to him with that. So you see it, hashtag 4664.
Okay,
yes.
so that's the hashtag. I was like, I must get to know why this is also called 4664.
Yes.
Great. Ziegler Tagwai, Mandela Washington Fellow, many thanks for being with us in the studio. Unfortunately, there are 1,000,001 questions I want to ask, and I love your train of thought. So I'm sure we're definitely going to invite you to the studio on the non-Mandela day, and then we'll have another conversation. But thank you so much for spending your morning hour with us.
Thank you for having me.
And that's how we're going to wrap up awesome morning this Tuesday, but also saying thank you for staying tuned and then watching. And then up next is our sports program, so do stay. And then we're looking forward to seeing you same time tomorrow morning. I'm Ifunanya Yvonne Amafeli telling you to have a very productive Tuesday. Goodbye.